People who set boundaries are selfish and mean, right? Well, that's what a lot of us learn. That people who set boundaries are mean and rude, and as a result, we don't learn how to set boundaries. But setting boundaries, being rude or mean or selfish, is the farthest from the truth. In actuality, setting boundaries is showing that you have respect for yourself and respect for others. Setting boundaries is one of the healthiest things that you can do for yourself and for other people. Setting boundaries is something that we normally should learn in our family of origin or when we're growing up with our parents and our siblings. But what I found is that most people don't learn to set boundaries then. I'm not really entirely sure why. But I can guarantee you that everyone can learn how to set healthy boundaries. I'm a perfect example of that. I didn't really learn how to set boundaries until I was an adult. And now I teach others how to set effective and healthy boundaries. But when I started, that was a different story for sure. But setting boundaries is important for everybody, no matter what type of career that you are in or what you want to pursue as a hobby or as making a living. And I would argue that in order to be an effective anything, an effective entrepreneur, an effective doctor, an effective artist, an effective business owner, an effective president or CEO, even an effective housekeeper, anyone who's doing any type of work, be it that they're doing it to make a living or they're doing it as a hobby, needs to be able to set effective boundaries. So let's talk about how can you start today by setting effective boundaries. Well, one thing is let's talk about what a boundary is. A boundary is an imaginary fence that surrounds you, your time, your energy, what you make, your family, and sometimes even your body. This imaginary fence is what other people are going to be bumping into. And this imaginary fence is what you are going to use in order to protect your time. For example, if you are an artist and a parent and a spouse, and you also have a full-time job, when are you going to get into the studio to go paint? That is a hard one. But once you figure out that time, doesn't it seem like everyone, your boss, your friends, your parents, your spouse, your children, your dogs, doesn't everyone all of a sudden need you on an emergency basis right when you go into the studio? I know sometimes that's what it feels like. But when you do say, this is my studio time, it may be between 5 and 7 every single morning. It may be between 8 and midnight every single night. It may be on the weekends. Whatever time you're able to find to go carve out for you, you then need to protect it, and you need to let everyone else know that this time is sacred for you. So you may do this in several ways. One way is that if you have a studio, like I have, my studio is inside of my house, you may want to put a sign on the door, close it and lock it. And the sign tells them, and it can be funny or it can be serious, of do not enter or knock for emergencies only. And you may want to put that on there. And even if you need to, you may want to lock the door. Then when you're in the studio, you may want to make sure you have some type of music, maybe in headphones, and really get lost in your your work so that even if someone does knock, you can tune them out. Another thing that you may want to do is to put your phone on silent or to even turn your phone off. That is another option. If it is feasible, you can consider renting studio space somewhere outside of your home. That could also be another option to look into that. And just like men have man caves, you can create a man or woman art studio. And they even have these fitted out. You can get these outdoor buildings. And if you have a large enough property, you can actually put one of those on your land next to your house. You can put electricity. You could put a little sink in there, especially if you're an artist that needs to wash your brushes. Make sure you have heat, and if appropriate or needed, like here in the South, air conditioning. But you can create quite a comfortable little studio space outside of your home. And even that barrier of your spouse or your kids having to leave the house, dreaded, walk outside across the yard to get to the studio, that in itself will be a barrier or somewhat of a boundary. And again, if you need to, you can put a sign on the door and even lock the studio door. And this will give you that space, that mental space, that time space, and that place where you can go and focus 100% on your creations. So, what are your ideas as for, or what have you done that has worked to protect your creating time? What are some things you have tried? What are some things you've tried that haven't worked? And what are some things you've done that actually have worked? But setting a boundary around your painting time is a very practical, easy, and a first step to go do as far as learning how to set boundaries. If us talking about setting boundaries makes you feel uncomfortable or scared, that's a sign that you may need to go talk to a professional, such as a therapist. And you can ask a friend, you can look online, you can talk to your primary care doctor, but get a reference and find someone in your area who is a good therapist and ask them to begin working with you to help you as far as learning how to set boundaries. If you have found this video to be helpful, please let me know by commenting below. If you have any questions, if there's something else that you would like to learn about being a professional artist, if there are some other topics that you would like for me to cover, please comment below. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.